Hey guys, I wanted to shoot a quick overview and then I'll shoot some more videos of some of the things I've done. I've got the TORMACH PCNC 1100 that I've been dreaming about owning for years since I first started working with my X3 and then converting it to CNC, and then shot a couple videos. That got me into prototyping and manufacturing my own parts in addition to job shop work. I've since quit my job and get to do this full time now, which is just a lot of fun, honestly. The overview, I'm just going to talk about a couple of the things that I've done. I've only had this for a month, but somebody asked a question about the flood system that I've got on here, and I'll shoot another video that'll detail that a little bit more. The first thing that I did when I got the TORMACH was broke my other touchscreen monitor when I dove across it trying to reach for the emergency stop switch. So that was the very first thing that I did, was cracked open the cabinet here and I jumped into the emergency stop switch. I put separate connections here just to make life a little bit easier on myself if I need to do any maintenance. That's also ground, so I've got a shielded grounded wire going down and running nice and clean through everything, and then through this port that I added on there. That runs down and around and goes to this box that I had laying around. This, like much of what I do, is an repurposed wheelchair part, but this box is just bolted on here. I've got the emergency stop switch on here, which I actually really like this one. It was from McMaster Car. It's got a very, very solid snap to it, so you actually have to intentionally push on it. And I put it so that if I just set my hand on there by accident, it won't hit it, but of course in a e-stop situation it's pretty easy to hit. This has a couple controls on here separate. This guy has power full time so that I can turn off and on the flood system. So I can just flip that switch and I've got straight power. And then I also have a full, these are all 5/8 inch ID lines. I might switch that out to 3/4 at some point, but right now it's plenty of coolant. So I can close this guy, and then I've got a great amount of power for washing stuff down, clearing off the aluminum chips when I'm switching to stainless, which happens to be what I'm cutting for the next 5 days on this particular job. Then the other control that I have on here, this switches to air, so I can switch that over to, I've got an air solenoid valve on there. Right now this is just temporarily connected. Remember, I've only had this a month. So I just have this temporarily connected onto here, and this guy's air only, which is also controlled through there. So I can just flip that switch and it switches over to the air for different jobs. I don't see any need to be able to have the machine switch back and forth between the two, but if I do, I'll figure out a way to get the TORMACH to do that. I've got a flex line 1.5 inch ID on here, which keeps the chips pile up well over the base there when I'm doing my production stuff, at least. So that keeps a lot of the coolant out of there. I've got a nice ghetto system, temporary system there. I'm going to run PVC line all the way up. I replaced the window screen that they had on there before with the much finer tooth, but even at a couple 100 gallons per hour, that flows right through. I'll put the part number up here too. That's doubled over, so it's actually 2 layers folded in half. I did try plumbing lines out of here, coming down and around and flowing it in there when I had the TORMACH system, because the TORMACH system for, you know, overused production is not what the TORMACH system was designed for. It's really just designed for lubricating, but I need it for chip clearance, so I needed a lot more volume. So I've just got a simple system here with a line on each side. Of course, I can switch out. I've got the check valve on the end, and then I can switch out to the different tips, which in reality with the TORMACH one, you know, it doesn't put out nearly enough pressure for a lot of these different components, but you can see that gives me a good amount of pressure for any of the tips that I've wanted to use so far. I also plumbed in this extra guy, which has been amazingly useful on one of my production parts where I'm running an 1/8 inch end mill, 1 inch deep in very small slots. They're only 145 thou wide. So you can imagine that creates a lot of very, very small chips, and then they pile up between the 3 vices when I've got those on here. So this allows me to open that guy up, and that comes up here. It's just kind of on a bungee. So without even moving it, I can pull this down and I can actually clear chips through there. I just put this plastic hose barb on there so that it wouldn't scratch the vise or the table or anything. I need to turn these the hex portion down so that it'll fit back in like the standard metal ones did, because I can actually feed this across underneath, push all the fine chips out of the way, and allow me to clear that off a lot easier. So I'll go through a few of these in more detail. Last thing that is real handy, I've got this vacuum here on the machine. Since my production parts are primarily aluminum, this vacuum is only for aluminum. You know, I've got the simple little hanger on here, and then I've got that hooked up to foot pedal. So I can just click that and clear off the aluminum chips, but then I have a separate one right behind me that has remote on it, which is for everything else. So I can you know, vacuum the floor, or if I've got, you know, a mix of steel, Delrin, and whatnot on here, I can vacuum that up real easily too. This is a great machine, absolutely fantastic. I completely love it. I really am glad that I finally pulled off getting this guy in. So here's the air system as it's plumbed out right now, and I'll go through this in detail later. Down there behind my the little toolbox that holds all of the tooling and stuff is all in here. I'll pull this out of the way and I'll get down behind here. I'll show you the air solenoid valve system that I have set up. The coolant tank that I'm using, that's on wheels, so I can just roll it right out. I'll show you all the plumbing. I've got a 3/4 horsepower motor in there running right now. And then, yeah, we'll just go through all this stuff and show you how it works. So, till next time.